welcome to Jody's Corner. Thank you guys so very much for being here. And I know I'm a little bit late with this, but I figured I would just go ahead and still give you guys my opinion because a lot of you guys have been asking me about what I feel about The Mandalorian, especially episode 8, the finale. So this is going to be a review of episode 8 of The Mandalorian. So I thought about doing 7 and I thought about doing a season review, but overall I think that hitting this episode 8 review is kind of what you guys want, and then I'll probably do a season review a little bit later on in my channel. But once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. You guys know I am Jody Joe. I appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get right up into this review. So I'm gonna talk about episode 7 as well because it's part 1 and a part 2. So this story with the Mandalorian, where the finale takes place, where he's on some more stuff, flying around in space. As we know, every episode he's always starting a new mission, and this particular time he gets this hologram call from the bounty hunter leader, Carl Weathers. He says, yo, come back, man. Stormtroopers and Imperial Army, or the Empire's everywhere, man. We need to help us out, man. You do this for us, man. Kill them. I'll forgive you. We won't hunt you down anymore, and you and the baby Yoda can go live scot-free. Mandalorian comes back to the home base planet where he took off and took Yoda in the first place. Links up with the crew, links up with Carl Weathers' bounty hunter boss character and 2 other guys. They go on about their business. Come to find out that Carl Weathers was injured during an attack that happened in the desert, and Baby Yoda put his little hand up and healed his arm. Carl Weathers was all magically and tingly like, yo, freak. When the time came to betray the Mandalorian, Carl Weathers, Mandalorian OG, shot the 2 assassins that were supposed to kill him. He says, look, we were basically supposed to kill you, take the baby to the boss. But now, after he put his green hand on me and healed me up like that, I just couldn't go through with it, player. So now we have this new mission to go and take over everybody by putting a ploy in Yoda's little basket, making it seem like Baby Yoda is there, only to get close to the big bad guy with the French, but he's German voice, and kill him. And they got there. It was more stormtroopers than they ever would have imagined. Shit got tight, and he said, "Can I just see the baby? He's sleeping. Just one peek would do enough. I would be very, very quiet." Gets a hologram message. They shoot the whole joint up, and then episode 2 happens, the second part of the episode, which is where we are with episode 8. Now, that was just a little synopsis part. Episode 8 is where shit really takes off, because you see Giancarlo Esposito. He plays Gustavo Fring from the greatest show of all time now, since Game of Thrones is trash. The greatest show of all time in Breaking Bad. And I believe he was probably the greatest TV villain in history. I think he's the greatest, most loved and important to the show TV villain in history. Gustavo Fring's character was fantastic, and that's where he got a huge following and a fan base from. I loved him in Do the Right Thing. Hey, man, you stepped on my J's, man. Yo. A lot of people don't really remember him from that, but it is what it is. Giancarlo Esposito is in here, and he's playing the big bad guy over who we thought the original big bad guy was. The German French sounding actor who puts a lot of thought into his voice, who talks like this, who has a sinister look like he just came out of the grave type of guy. So Giancarlo Esposito is playing the big bad. I was instantly elated to see him, and I think he's cool. You know what I'm saying? I think he was dope. But they have him surrounded, and all these stormtroopers are here, and Giancarlo, the general, I forgot what his name was, because the Mandalorian remembered him from when he was a child. And then we got some backstory into the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is taking L's because he got blown up by Giancarlo. And this is directed by Taika Waititi. And it's competently directed, but I have a lot of issues with the direction of this episode. Like, the best part of this episode is not the action. The best part of this episode is not the amazing suspense. It's not the calls of Star Wars nods. It's not the characters. The best part of this entire episode, which I wish the entire episode kind of was about, because the rest of the episode just didn't live up to the amazing banter between 2 random stormtrooper riders on bikes. Like, Can I see it? What do you mean? And it's the fact that they're in these suits and you can't really see their faces, but you hear their stupid stormtrooper voices, which are funny, and you see their body movements. Yo, can I see it? See what? The boss told me to put it in the bag. He's right here in the bag. What do you need to see? I mean, all I'm saying is, I'd like to see it. And the banter between these two is funny, it's captivating, and I just never wanted it to end. He punching Yoda, baby Yoda in the bag. I'm like, oh man, you punching the machine, he popping his head out. Just that, and that was in the beginning of this episode. So it kind of did this to me. A lot of people think it went up, but for me, it kind of went down because I thought I was in for a true treat. And then that was like the highlight of the entire episode. I'm not bullshitting. This is just how I feel about it. It was funny. It was dialogue heavy. And even though it was in the form of a joke, even though it was meant to be funny, it was real and believable. You know, like you would never really think about how stormtroopers pass the time. Because he goes back, yo, are we ready? Are you guys ready for the package? No? Oh, shit, not ready. Standing by. It just shows you what George Lucas, Kathleen Kennedy, and Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, and everybody else who made Star Wars movies, it shows you, it sheds a light on the everyday life of a stormtrooper. You know, they're overlooked in the films. They're just guys going from point A to point B, getting shot, shooting at, and they're just nothing. But this is like a glimpse of what it's like to be a ride trooper, or whatever they call them, the stormtrooper jet carrier guys. And I think that was just genius and brilliant. And that's all Taika all day long. That's all Ragnarok all day. And I appreciated that. And that's where my praise for Taika Waititi ends for this episode. Because even though there was a lot of action and there was a lot of stuff going on, about 15 minutes into this episode, I figured out. And it wasn't like, it was always an issue coming into it. I always knew that this was a potential issue, but it became abundantly clear, my epiphany of the problem that this show has now and the problem that this show will continue to have in the future. This show has so much potential. I'm going to use the word potential in front of everything I say here. Potential, character development, fan service, storytelling, narrative, action, excitement, direction, script storytelling, world building, scale, everything. It has the potential to be the best TV show ever made. And I really sincerely believe that. I'm being incredibly sincere here. I found the problem with this show, the biggest hurdle that it has to climb. This show, The Mandalorian, and I seen it with this episode, because this episode could have been so more, it was good, but my God, it kept getting yanked. No, but wait, this time, no. And the one doing the show was, the one trying to jetpack itself was Taika, the Disney, the fan service, the Mandalorian, seeing Pedro Pascal's face for the first time, seeing Giancarlo, seeing all this amazing stuff, the Stormtrooper conversation. All of it was taking off, and the one entity that kept pulling it back was that god dang PG kitty Disney rating. The number one problem that this show has is its mother freaking kitty rating Disney Plus. This show is on the wrong service. This show needs to be on Amazon or Netflix. Disney, you're not going to get there. You're just not. You have an opportunity to make the greatest show of all time, and I see the potential when I watch this. And I'm looking at these scenes that the director is doing, and he's shooting himself in the foot because you can't take it there because this is for kids. Rocket launcher this, flamethrower that, 50 stormtroopers shooting beams, no one gets shot. We're in lava, no one gets burned. The way the freaking robot sacrifices himself, tight, but the explosion, come on. There's so much little stuff in here that go without me. I'm finished. I'm done. You thought the freaking Mandalorian's face melted in there. You take the mask off, it's just little blood here and there. Anyway, how are you went from talking about go, I'm finished, I'm dead, because of the Giancarlo blew a bomb up on my body. And then we live to see the damage. Ain't shit wrong with you. You get the robot sprayed mist on you, and all of a sudden you're walking and running again. What the heck? At the end of the day, the number one problem that this show has is that it's god dang Disney. It's Disney holding this thing back. This needs to be on HBO. This needs to be on Cinemax, Stars, FX, Netflix, anywhere but this platform. And I feel terrible because I see it and I know that this show is freaking dope. And the main thing holding it back are the people who created it. Oh, that irks my nerve down to the bone. It hurts my feelings. It hurts me. It bugs me to know that there's something so good in the Mandalorian show, to know that it never will take it there where it needs to be taken. And I'm not saying take it far. I'm not saying go gory rated R. Rated R would be nice. I ain't gonna front. But god dang, a real PG-13 would actually do some service. I mean, you're flirting with TV Y7 here. I mean, really, you're barely TV 13. Y13, TV 13, whatever, TV 14, that's what's the rating. TV 14 here, like what's going on? From the language, the not a single sexual reference anywhere, like the violence is minimal, the storytelling suffers because it can't do certain things, and when you can't do certain things in an action sequence, it just becomes unbelievable, and then it takes you out of it. So I really feel like I've identified the issue here, and the issue here is definitely Disney. The Mandalorian's biggest issue is that it's on Disney Plus, and that's sad. That's truly sad. But still, I will review the rest of this series. Season 2 is all that, because it's still a good show. I just had to let the world know, and this is a Jody Damas. In case it wasn't, this is all the way Jody Damas. Is that this show is going to, and more fans are going to see it as time goes on. It slapped me in my face in episode 8. This episode, it smacked me. People had Disney. People were eating this up, and they still are. And I am too. But I see its future. I see the future. I'm usually ahead of the curve, and this is one of them Jody Damas moments. The fandom will start to realize that this kiddie shit and that this rating and that this streaming service, Disney Plus, is just not the best platform for Mandalorian. They're gonna wish that it was on another platform, and I'm pretty sure that they're gonna start wishing that shit now or in season 2. They'll start to see it. The world will start to see it. It'll become like, you know how I predicted the end of Star Wars, how in episode 7 how trash it was and how Disney didn't know shit and how it was gonna be garbage and this is the worst thing ever. Just like that. It's going to be just like that. So that's how I feel about it. The Mandalorian, this show, though, still is the best thing probably on Disney Plus. This is my favorite show on streaming. Pedro Pascal did a fantastic job. I'm not going to lie. Gina Carano, she's good. I like her a lot. That one episode, I had issues with. I was very vocal about it. And, this episode was much better. And her character didn't dip at all to me. She was still just as important. Mandalorian still was just as important, and they both thrived. I liked the episode throughout, but I wasn't in love with the episode. So I'm going to go ahead and give this episode the grade that I believe it deserves. And it's pretty darn deserving if you ask me. I give it a B+. B+ grade. It was really, I saw this thing becoming an A+ easily. I saw the A+. By the time I was looking at I was coming off the recap of episode 7 where my poor man died, man. He got killed right before he got to the ship. That was so sad. To the point where we got to that Stormtrooper conversation, I was like, oh man, we are in for a treat today. But then it went downhill after that. But still, season number 1, solid as a rock. But that prediction is still real. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I appreciate you. Subscribe down below if you like more of the real content. Welcome to 2020. And thank you guys for 50,000 subscribers. I never thought that I would make probably 10. I remember my goal was to make 10,000. Journey to 10,000. Some of y'all remember that. But here we are at 50,000 with a lot of support and a lot of love and a lot of improvements to the channel. Shout out to this microphone. Hopefully the audio is stellar. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I'm Jody Joe, and I'm out this thing. Deuces.